welcome to another Country Party online version, and today's interview is with country singer Jess Moskaluke, and I chat with her about her upcoming album release called The Demo, so check it out. Well, it's nice to meet you. This is a really exciting day for you. Got some new music coming out, an album, and it's called The Demo. So tell me a little bit about how that came to be during this time, this crazy year we've had.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's nice to meet you too. This is the first time we're like chatting sort of face to face. So nice to meet you. And it is a super exciting day. I am pumped. These songs are a little bit older to me than they are to everybody else, obviously, but then they're older than sometimes they are on an album. So this album is called The Demos, and the reason for that is because it almost didn't come to be an album because of the pandemic. So I wanted to record an album, but didn't think it was going to happen because it was really hard to actually write an album. You can do it over Zoom, but it's challenging. And it's almost impossible to get in the studio. So what I did was I dug into my catalog full of songs that I have written years ago in some aspects. And I found the ones that I was still like madly in love with that I never really got the chance to record or release. So I found those. We ended up prettying them up and making them ready for radio and ready for streamers and ready for the fans. And we released them as the demos. And to take that a step further, to give fans a little bit of an extra bonus because it's been such a crappy year, I included the actual demos. So it's kind of 3 of the songs. So it's kind of like looking at a before and after. So the actual demos you'll hear are how I heard them the day we wrote them. And then there are the polished versions that is what I would normally release to the world. So it's kind of a different concept for me, but I'm really excited to see if people like it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of unique. I've never heard of anybody doing it that way before. Maybe they have, but just not for me. And right now it's something interesting, something different. It's got to be a real struggle to keep being creative and putting out something different. So this was an easy way to showcase, you know, the pre and post of editing and what you've come down with, the final line.
Yeah, I feel like as I, move on in my career and the longer that I've had a career, it seems to be getting a little bit more challenging to continually be creative and still stay true to who I am and what I want to do. So this year was obviously no exception because being trapped in the same 4 walls for almost a year is not exactly the most creative space for me. So I really lucked out in that this is a way that we can both give some songs that didn't have a home, and still do something different and creative, like you said.
Yeah, creativity is one of my questions that I go to right now during the pandemic. Does it help? Does it hurt? I don't know. I think sometimes it can be a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's definitely a little bit of both. My immediate response is to say that it hurts. For me, it hurts in terms of songwriting and actually creating the music itself, because I'm such a collaborative spirit that I have a team in Nashville that I love writing with, and that's where I feel like I'm at my best, when I'm surrounded by other like-minded musicians and people who know and understand me as an artist. So in terms of the music, I think that it's hurt in some ways, but I will say that there have been lots of other aspects of my career that I've been able to get creative because I've had to. So just in terms of other things that we've done and in terms of the demos as a concept, that's been much better and more exciting to be creative because I had the time and the space to do that, at least in the beginning. So a little bit of both.
So another thing got me thinking. So you were saying that this is, kind of, this album is a product of, this past year. Were you working on something else prior and put that on hold, or have
no,
you kind of
I
amalgamated
actually
it with this, or no?
Sort of, yeah. Well, what I originally thought was that I wanted to do singles. I wanted to only release singles because it felt like that was a way for me to release more music more frequently, that was newer and more exciting all the time, instead of releasing songs on an album and then having to commit to those specific songs for a year or more. Because, for example, my last album that we were working songs off of was from 2017. So when you consider that, we were working songs off of that album that I had written a year or more sometimes before it even got released, to me, as a creative-minded person, I want new stuff all the time. So I wanted to do singles for that reason. But when the pandemic hit, we realized that that wasn't all of a sudden going to be the way to get more music out, because I couldn't travel and I couldn't get into the studio to create that music. So we decided to recycle and give these songs a home. And it ended up, we weren't going to put out an album because of the pandemic. And then all of a sudden we shifted our mindset and came up with this idea. So yeah, this album is because of the pandemic.
So you also mentioned in your big, reveal of this demo on Instagram, or sorry, not this demo, the demo, that, there were some struggles besides, it not being the way that you like to do things. What else did you face along the way?
Well, it just like I'd mentioned in the past, like with the whole thing about trying to release singles and then realizing that the struggle was in the aspect that we can't travel and just the whole pandemic in general. I kind of, that's what I'm referring to when I'm talking about the struggles. So other than that, we really lucked out in that we were able to do a lot of things remotely. And yeah, I'm sure you can imagine how those were kind of challenges that we had to overcome.
I think it's amazing. Like, I would think putting out an album, especially I would think your first one, you work so hard, it takes so long, and you guys are just able to come up with something so amazing in like such a short amount of time. So
yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. These songs are, I've worked with my producer for so long now, and so we really are kind of on the same page. So it was not a lot of going back and forth between mixes this time, which was really nice. I guess to add to your last question, actually, one of the challenges was a duet that is on this album, and it's a challenge in all the best reasons. I was introduced to an Australian artist named Travis Collins back in 2019 when I took my first trip to Australia for some shows, and I was blown away by his voice, and I knew that I wanted to work with him in some capacity. So obviously, to add to all of the stress and challenges of creating an album through a pandemic, it was tough to get Travis's voice on this, but he turned it around so quickly, and he made that song what it is today. The song's called Leave Each Other Alone, and it's such a departure from what the original demo was. So it's pretty cool, and I'm really happy to have him on the record.
How did you guys meet?
We met in Australia. When I was there first, I was playing some shows, and I needed a band. And Travis's band is incredible. And we met through, I guess we didn't actually meet, but we were connected through a mutual co-writer that we have who is also Australian. His name is Phil Barton. And I've known Phil since I was, like, it feels like I was a kid when I first started writing. And Phil was like, yeah, Travis's band would sound really great on your songs. So Travis was kind enough to let me use his band while I was playing shows in Australia. And we were playing on a lot of the same shows. So yeah, we met at a show.
So is that going to be your next big release, like your next single? Maybe.
We're working on Napdot right now. We're still we're still moving up the charts. So we'll have to see what the next song will be off of the demos. But I'd love to hear which one is everyone's favorite, and maybe that will play a factor.
Yeah, I mean Napdot, Halfway Home, and
Country Girls.
Country Girls, yes, I don't know. But yeah, those songs like are done so well, and it's awesome that they got to be included in this album as well. So it's going to be really good download.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a no-brainer to include those ones for me as well.
Any plans for a music video? Would you like to do that from the new album?
Yeah, we'll see. It'll depend on what the new singles are going forward, but we'll see what the world looks like, and we would love to do a music video.
I really liked Elevator, just throwing it back a little bit, because you had Wes. He got to do some of the work on that, and he's very creative.
Yeah, really so Wes actually did the video for Camouflage, and it was crazy cool. Elevator was one that we had done with Ben Nechtel, who's done a few of my videos as well, and they both knocked both videos out of the park. It was a really fun experience working with both of them.
Yeah, especially like you're so close in age and everything too, just to have somebody's like different perspective and stuff.
Totally, and Wes and I have been friends for a long time, so it was fun to work with him creatively as well.
Mm-hmm. You've had quite the year. I've got a list here because I don't want to forget anything, but you have this album that you've been working on. You started your own subscription box. You've been doing countless Instagram lives. You've teamed up with Toyota for a commercial, and you celebrated your 30th birthday. So I don't think 2020 was all that bad for Miss Jess Moskaluke.
No, it definitely could have been worse. Like I said, we were able to get creative in a lot of other aspects of my career, which was kind of fun, since the music thing was a little bit tied up for a minute.
Well, I'm really happy to meet you. It's been a while, but I can't wait to see where the demo takes you, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, you too.